and frozen precipitation. Mike Seidel in Monroe, Louisiana. Hey, Mike, there was a huge batch of thunder sleet that came up through Lake Charles. Is that going to impact you at all? Do you know? Have you seen any lightning?
We haven't seen lightning, but we're ready for it. But I can tell you, Jim, we're getting pounded now by sleet the size of garden peas. You talked about the record cold. Right now we're in the upper teens. The high today so far is 21. The record low today is 22. So our high temperature is going to be colder than a record low. We've already broken the record low max, officially coming up at midnight by 14 degrees. And I want to show you the sleet out here. I mean, that's all we've got right now. And I'll pick it up. Look, watch this. Can you hear that? It's like granulated sugar. That's all sleet. It's better than freezing rain, trust me. Look at the roads out here. We've got about 1.5 inches or so, almost 2 inches of sleet. We expect this to go over to snow eventually. It's just to our west where we've got the snowfall, and we're forecasting 3 to 5 inches of solid precipitation. We've got to put it that way because right now when you get sleet, that lowers the forecast, or that lowers what you expect to accumulate. But this is what you see all across Louisiana, snowpacked, snow-covered. Many ramps, exit ramps, on-ramps, and overpasses, especially on the other side of the river here in Monroe, are closed. I saw one coming up here this morning that was closed. They just don't have the manpower, the equipment, and the salt to take care of this. But, Jen, look at this. That's all sleet right now. Big sleet pellets. Big, incoming. I can feel them stinging my face.
It sounded like you were dropping like tiny pebbles on your tray there, Mike. That's sleet. Yep. I mean, it's ice. All right, let's talk more about who else is going to get ice. Some of you will get sleet. Some people will get actually freezing rain, which is worse, as Mike talked about.
It's not just here, though, that we've got these winter conditions overtaking our entire Monday. It's also in Monroe, Louisiana, where we have Mike Seidel.
Hey, Felicia, back out here, heavy snow. This is I-20 looking eastbound. The visibility now is down to about 150, maybe 200 yards. It's not a whiteout, but this is about as hard as you'll ever see it snow. And it's 18 degrees in Louisiana. This is just unbelievable. We'll come back from here, plus more coverage as Winter Storm Uri heads to the northeast later today. Welcome back to the Weather Channel. No, this is not the New York State Thruway in Buffalo. This is I-20 in Louisiana. Look at this. It's almost a whiteout. We've seen there's one truck there. They're heading westbound towards Shreveport with the blinkers and doing about, 15 miles an hour. There's hardly anybody out, which is good because these roads are snowpacked, snow-covered. As you can imagine, at this latitude, this far south, they just don't have that many plows. Here's the overpass, and it's got about 3 or 4 inches of snow and sleet. We had a lot of sleet earlier. Now it's all snow, and now we're looking east. This is the way to Jackson where they had ice, but look at the visibility. Now, we don't have a lot of wind, but it's only 18 degrees. And, gang, the average high today is in the low 60s. So you can do the mathematics. We're more than 40 degrees below average. We've broken the record low. We're going to break the record low max officially at midnight. 35. Our high today is only going to be what it was at midnight, 21. And we're looking for another 2 to 3 inches of snow. We're going to be in this for a couple more hours, Jen. But it doesn't snow this hard very often this far south. I keep bringing out the stat. Monroe, Louisiana, average seasonal snowfall, 0.9 of an inch. They already had 4 back on January 10th and 11th. And by the way, that storm ranked number 12 overall. We'll see how this ranks when it's all done later on today.
And they don't even get snow every year.
This is an interstate in... Yeah, this is like being on the Thruway up near the Tug Hill Plateau, or in Duluth with the wind off the lake. This visibility is just unbelievable.
Oh, it is,
Take
Mike.
it all in.
I'm so glad there's no cars out there. People are being super smart, right, staying home off the roadways because you can't see the lane lines. Obviously, you can't see anything.
No, it's this is as hard as it's been snowing now. It keeps dropping a little bit. I'd say our visibility now may be down to 100 yards, but it's just just incredible, epic. And the fact that it's going to stay so cold all week, so all this that's coming down is going to have little, if any, chance to melt with limited sunshine. And then we have another storm Wednesday. And unfortunately, in this area, it may be more ice than snow. And then that really sets off the alarm for power outages. We're doing okay right now because it's all been sleet and snow. We do have one car coming over and under the overpass. We'll shoot back this way, Austin, and we'll see. Now, that car is really going fast.
Yeah, too fast.
And I guess he's going to stay on the highway. Yeah, you know, you just can't drive that fast. And that is not an all-wheel drive vehicle. Not that that's the end-all for these roadways. Here comes another vehicle, too, towards us, doing about 15 miles an hour.
Oh,
so, Jen,
wow.
we're going to hang out here. Just amazing. Just what an extreme weather day here in the Deep South.
I mean, Mike, you're in the area, the only zone that we have right now for those bigger snowfall rates, like more than an inch or two per hour. You're in it. So how far do you think you can see? Because we could barely see that car a few moments ago before it got to you.
Okay, I'm taking off my goggles. I don't think I can see 100 yards, which is a football field. Maybe. That's about it.
Yeah.
So that puts it in perspective. That's officially heavy snow. Anything less than 3/8 of a mile will look the other direction. It's like Minnesota.
Yeah.
It's like this vast Arctic wasteland. 18 degrees again. I emphasize that because the average high should be in the low 60s today, and it will be back up there by Sunday. Here comes another vehicle. You can see the headlights, and look how slow it's driving, which is good.
Yeah, that's good.
And let's see what they're going to do here. And that's a Jeep. So I assume he's got all-wheel, four-wheel drive. He's got a Jeep. He's flashing his lights. He's going down the middle of 20. He's eastbound towards West Monroe and then into Jackson. So he's planning it okay. There goes a minivan in the other direction. So this is what we've got out here. People are still on the roads, just a few. But other than that, as you can imagine, Jen, this far south, basically everything is shut down today except, of course, the Waffle House.
Mike, yes. Yeah, look, they make it through hurricanes. I'm sure they can make it through a winter storm. And Mike Seidel always finds them. One more question, Mike, because I love your shot so much, too. What are your snowflakes like? Can we have one more question with Mike, or we have to move on? Yeah. What are your snowflakes like? Are they like the perfectly shaped, you know, dendrites? I'm just curious, because it seems very perfect.
Yeah, they're looking pretty good. They're all pretty much, well, we've got some bigger ones mixed in. You know, we had all that sleet earlier, and then the flakes mixed in. But if you look, I don't know if we can go zoom in on the trees there so we have a darker background. You can see we've got some bigger flakes mixed in, but they're all pretty much at least medium-sized. And as you can imagine, at 18 degrees, it's powder. You cannot make a snowball. Here we go. This is the snow on top of the sleet.
Yeah.
But here, I-20. In Louisiana. No, it's not. It's not I-90 in the Dakotas. Jen, it's just one of those extremes.
Yeah.
You know, I've been out in the weather for a long time, and I've covered snow in Louisiana and Shreveport, but I've never covered this much snow, this kind of snowfall rate this far south ever. I mean, and at 18 degrees.
I was going to ask that, and I expected that. Mike Seidel, thank you so much. What a shot. We're coming back to you soon.
All right, guys, let's go out and talk about some real heavy snow. This was coming down heavy last night here in Dallas. We're done with the snow for now, but Mike Seidel is into the thick of it right now. Seidel, what's amazing to me is the type of snow that we got here in Dallas. I mean, this is like snow that you get in Breckenridge, Colorado. Just Arctic fluff. It's unbelievable.
It is. And the same here, Jim. 18 degrees. You're even colder, and you had that fluff, and we've got the fluff now. But something has changed just in the past 10 minutes. We're getting some sleet mixing in, and the visibility has now come back up. Look at this. We're now up to about maybe almost a mile. But that's what happens when you go to sleet. You have the transparency. Unlike the snowflakes when we were S-plusing the heavy snow. This is I-20 again, just to refresh your memory. That's eastbound to Jackson, to Birmingham, and into Atlanta. By the way, no issues in Atlanta. Thank goodness for the folks in Atlanta and at the Weather Channel. We've got some vehicles coming up the highway here. They're coming from the Shreveport direction, and they are traveling eastbound. And let's see what's going on here. I think it looks like two vehicles. One's got the flashing lights on. Remember, they have not plowed this road. Nothing's been plowed. Temperatures are way below freezing. In fact, we set a record low at midnight. The record low today was 22 or 18. So we've got two vehicles doing about 35, maybe 40 miles an hour down the interstate. Stay with us here on the Weather Channel, continuing coverage of Winter Storm Uri. And we will have crews up in the Northeast later today, tonight, and tomorrow, Jen. Meanwhile, here in Louisiana, we've got to grin and bear this all week. The bitter cold and round 2 on Wednesday, snow, sleet, and probably here, ice.
Yeah, I mean, the next round of ice is going to be very widespread. And Mike, we'll talk about that. I also want
Let's go to our south. Let's go to Monroe, Louisiana. That's where we find meteorologist Mike Seidel. Mike, how much snow would you say has fallen this morning, and how fast at times did you see those snowfall rates?
Hey, Chris, good morning from Monroe, Louisiana. We're in the kind of the northeast, north central part of the state. Well, we had the sleet first, a couple of inches of sleet. Now we've had at least a couple of inches of snow. And just a few minutes ago, we were on the air with heavy snow, 1 inch an hour. The temperature is the key. It is just incredibly cold. It's 17. That's 44 degrees colder than the average high. We should be in the low 60s. I-20, visibility is much, much better now. We've gotten into a bit of a break on the radar, so just some light snow. We've got some vehicles coming up the interstate, but notice there is no way you can see the asphalt. They just don't have the plows down here for this kind of weather. It just doesn't happen that often. You know, Monroe only averages 9/10 of an inch of snow a season. Now, let me take you back. Austin Anderson, my photog, and I drove from where we're based, one exit to the east to this exit, and this is where we caught the heavy snow. But you can see the roadways, the visibility, and that wasn't the worst of it. The visibility came down to about 100 yards for a while. Now it's way back up to over a mile, so we've got better visibility. But the road situation has not improved. This is the overpass, and you can see all the sleet and snow we have here. So right now, Dr. Postel, we have more sleet and snow than we should have in about 4 or 5 winters on average in Monroe, Louisiana. And remember, they had 4 inches back on January 10th and 11th. What I need to do is look in the records and see what their snowiest season on record is and see how we're doing. And then we have the other storm Wednesday, but that seems to be more of an ice sleet setup here in this part of the state.
Yeah, Mike, thank you very much. I mean, this goes to the heart of what we've been talking about for so long, is how unlikely and rare this event is for many of us in the South. And thanks very much, Mike. Let's
back here live on the Weather Channel. This is Charles Peak. He is in northeast Texas. He's 75 miles west of Texarkana. So he's on I-20, that area between Dallas-Fort Worth and Texarkana. And this is the storm that's moving on through. The snow has ended here, but we're getting some blowing snow. And this is the area that's likely going to get more snow on Wednesday. So a double whammy, and the temperatures are in the single numbers. 5 degrees in Dallas. We're at 17 here in Monroe, Louisiana. Here's the thermometer to prove it. And keep in mind that the record low was 21, and the average high is 61. So kind of wrap your mind around that it's 40 degrees colder, more than 40 degrees colder than it should be. And also, we've got snow still coming down, not as heavy as it was before. Plows, no plows. This is the South. They have few, if any, plows. We've not seen any plows. They have salted some of the overpasses. Saw that yesterday coming in from Shreveport on I-20. But basically, if you do not have all-wheel drive, do not get out on the roadways. We just drove one exit on the back roads, and we saw 3 or 4 vehicles stuck because they can't get anywhere, because the snow is 4 to 5 inches deep, because it hasn't been plowed. So, Chris Bruin, same rules of engagement up there in Memphis. When that snow comes down, if you don't have all-wheel drive, and even with all-wheel drive, no need to get out on the roadways, because you will get stuck.
Yeah, we're seeing the snow now really starting to pile up. Still sleeting, but it's starting to change over to snow.
You're looking live, Charles Peak in Clarkville, Texas. This is between Texarkana and Dallas. heading towards the Arklatex on Highway 82. You can see it sure doesn't look like Texas. Temperatures are in the single numbers, wind chills below zero. And although the snow is winding down there, we've got another storm. In fact, winter storm watches for the next storm kick in at 9 o'clock this morning in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So we go from one to the other. And I mentioned yesterday nearby Shreveport, this is the first time in 43 years they could have back-to-back snowstorms. In their case, an inch or more within 4 days. You got to keep in mind, these towns rarely get snow. You average about an inch a year. Some years you don't get a flake. This year, though, in Monroe, they've hit the jackpot. They had 4 inches in January on the 10th and 11th. Today we've had 3 or 4. And this is what we have all over Louisiana, at least this part of the state. This goes up to I-20, east and west. There's the sign, Shreveport, Monroe. We're kind of in West Monroe right now. But snowpacked, snow-covered, nothing has been plowed. So what you have out here on the highway is 3, 4, maybe some spots, 5 inches of sleet and snow. We had a couple of inches of sleet before sunrise. Then we went to snow and heavy snow at more than an inch an hour. And now this is what's left. It's all left over. And it's going nowhere, Dr. Postel, because these temperatures are going nowhere. 17 right now. The average high is 61. We are nowhere close. We're gonna smash the record low max, which is 35. We won't see 35 probably until Friday. And there are all kinds of issues in the south. In addition to snow, we've got ice too in many locations.
Yeah, Mike, thank you very much. By my algebra, that's 44 degrees below average. We'll see if the temperature moves any in Louisiana today, but I have a feeling not much. Thank you very much, Mike.
You're looking at Dallas-Fort Worth International, DFW. Ground stop until at least 11 a.m. this morning Central Time. Hundreds of flights have been canceled. And with the ground stop, that means nothing is leaving from another airport coming towards DFW. So the ripple effect across the country because of the storm affecting major airports, including Dallas-Fort Worth. In fact, Houston has canceled just about all the flights today there at Intercontinental and Hobby Airport. And the temperature right now at DFW, 6 degrees. The wind chill is 13 below zero. Good morning. I'm meteorologist Mike Seidel. Winter Storm Uri taking aim now for the Ohio Valley and Northeast. We've got crews spread out all the way into the Northeast to New England. Back here, though, the snow continues. The roads, forget about it. If you don't have all-wheel drive, you shouldn't go out. There's not a lot of traffic on the road today, but we've seen numerous cars get stuck that have front-wheel drive. Notice right here in front of me the snow, because there's been no plows. Now it's been packed down on the roadway, but we still have 3, 4, 5 inches of snow and sleet across all these roadways. And if you don't have all-wheel drive and you stop or you try to go around the corner or you have any kind of elevation change, you'll likely start spinning your wheels. We've seen that time and time again. And the epic cold is the other story, because usually the snow melts the same day or the next day. That's not the case. We're going down to 9 degrees tomorrow morning, and we may not even get much above freezing until at least Friday. And we have another storm Wednesday, and that will likely be more of a snow and sleet storm here than a snowstorm. So quite a wintry afternoon or morning going into an afternoon. It's just amazing how cold it is. 18 degrees, and the average high today, 61. You could literally wear shorts here in Louisiana this time of the year. So it is quite the snowstorm. Here comes a Jeep 4-wheel drive, so they're able to get through the powder, but you can see how much snow is on the roadway. In northern areas where they have plows, this would all be plowed off, and you would see the roadway. Let's go to Memphis. Let's check in with Chris Brewer. Chris, I noticed at the airport there's snow and sleet mixed.
Yeah, Mike, we actually we're seeing at the airport. And
Charles Peake's been doing another bang-up job for us this morning. He's in Northeast Texas. This is DeKalb, Texas. He's heading towards I-30, and you can see what the roads look like. much like across a lot of territory in this part of the world, snow-packed and snow-covered. And in this part of the world, plows are hard to come by. I have not seen one snow plow this morning here in West Monroe and across Monroe, Louisiana. That's not a slam. It's just at this latitude, they just don't get that much snow. Monroe averages 9/10 of an inch. Now, we've been talking about the roads all morning. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Front-wheel drive. Now, the snow here has been packed down, not plowed. You've got about 3 or 4 inches of packed snow, and you can see that these folks are going nowhere fast. That's right. There's no friction there. There's nothing to grab onto. I don't know what they're going to do. They've got to kind of back up if they can and try to get what they say, a running head start. But this is not the kind of travel, the kind of day you want to be traveling these roadways, unless you have all-wheel or four-wheel drive, and even that is not a guarantee. That is not a guarantee. You can see what I'm talking about. Let's look down the road here. Right off I-20 in Monroe, West Monroe, 18 degrees right now. Wind chills down around 5 or 6. Now they're making some progress. Austin, let's see if they can get through the intersection. You got to give it some gas. Give it some gas. There they go. Okay. Say they made it. But I want to tell you, we just came down that frontage road where they're going. They've got some work ahead of them. Trust me. It does get deep around that corner. Okay, let's go to Dr. Postel. Dr. Postel, you would never be caught in a car with front-wheel drive in Madison, Wisconsin, would you?
I had an Outback in Madison, Wisconsin, and it did well in the snow, but of course the ice, there's nothing that you can handle the ice, so stay off the roads. Mike, thank you very much for that reporting. That's really important stuff to see.
Sure.
Yeah, how much trouble those cars are having in the snow. It's very dangerous out there.
Not just here, though, in Houston to Louisiana, where we have our own Mike Seidel. You guys are dealing with your own battle of the winter weather right now.
Yes, and when you're in battle, you always like to see the old Waffle House sign. We've got Steve Oswald, who's a franchisee. You've got 10 Waffle Houses in this part of the state of Louisiana, and we're grateful that this is open because I think it's about the only place in town right now you can get a hot meal.
Well, we try to keep it open for the people that need, are out without power, and our employees need to work too. So, we're open.
What's the status of your other 9 locations?
Everything's open.
That's
Everything's
good.
got power. We're doing fine right now.
What about the employees getting in?
Well, we shuttle some of them in and out. Some of them get in on their own. They're good employees. They do everything they can for the cash customer.
What's your biggest concern the next few days? Power or being able to keep the restaurant staffed?
Keeping them staffed. I think we got some ice coming in Wednesday.
Right.
That would be, the power would shut down then. That would hurt us.
And are you checking on all your restaurants today, even though the roads are not in great shape?
We've checked on all of them by phone, text. We've got people going to them.
And being down in this latitude, we have not seen a plow at all. Do you have any way to plow your lots?
No.
No way.
You won't see a plow. You won't see a plow here.
So just the lot's going to be scattered, smothered, and covered in snow for at least till Friday, huh?
Yes, correct.
Well, Steve Oswald, we appreciate you taking time and speaking on behalf of a lot of folks. The Waffle House has saved us many, many times especially during hurricane coverage. When power comes out, corporate will send, auxiliary power and get the restaurants up and running.
Correct. And the consumers have helped us out through this too. We appreciate all of them.
Well, thanks for joining us. And it'll be warm again next weekend, Steve. From the Waffle House, Dr. Postel, you've been in this situation before. Sometimes it's the only place open, and we're grateful for their commitment to stay open for not only us, but really for the folks that need the food, and as you mentioned, the power, and also for the emergency management folks that often depend so much on these restaurants.
Mike, thank you very much for that reporting. We are very grateful for the good folks who are doing their best to stay open. And
Good morning. Welcome back to the Weather Channel's continuing coverage of Winter Storm Uri, now taking aim for the Northeast. More on that in a minute, but first, we're still here in Louisiana. Look at the snow. It's back. We've got one more band coming through. You can see that on the radar coming in from the south. The earlier band that really nailed us is now up with Chris Bruin. You've seen his pictures out of Memphis. But the roads, they don't have any plows. We just talked to the mayor. They don't have one plow here in West Monroe, Louisiana. And you can see what they're dealing with. Everything that's fallen, 4, maybe 5 inches of sleet, then snow, and now more snow. It's all here. It's been packed down by some road traffic, but there's going to be no melting today. The temperature right now is at 18 degrees versus an average high of 61. And our high today may be a few degrees warmer. There's I-20, and there is some traffic on 20. They're generally doing about 35 to 40 miles an hour. There's the ramps and the overpass there. You can see that there's no asphalt to be found, and we're not going to see any. Even tomorrow, our temperatures don't get out of the 20s. Tomorrow morning, we're going down to 9. That will be the coldest since that Christmas outbreak in 1989. So, Dr. Postel, this is one, as the mayor said, she's never seen it like this, where it snows and it's this cold for this long, and it just doesn't go away. And as you well know, at this latitude, the only option is warmer temperatures and sunshine, and that's really not going to be on the docket until at least Friday, and then we got to get through Wednesday, and here we may have some freezing rain.
That's right. I mean, there's this storm we're dealing with now, and then there's another one coming in a couple of days in a similar way before we finally get out of the woods, I think, by the weekend and shortly thereafter. But let's talk about the threats in the next few hours for.
Good morning once again from Monroe, Louisiana. We're here in West Monroe, and you can see the roads behind me. No change, expect no change, no plows, no warm weather. This is highly, highly extreme for this latitude. To get snow, no, they get snow occasionally. In fact, they had 4 inches last month, but it melted pretty quickly. This time around, though, it's not going anywhere. Temperatures tonight go down 9, 10 degrees, coldest weather since Christmas of 1989. That's, 32 plus years ago. And then tomorrow it doesn't get above freezing. And then Wednesday we have our next storm, which could be some freezing rain or rain. By Friday, we'll finally get out of the grips of this Arctic air, and we'll finally see temperatures getting back up to average. By Sunday, we could be close, well, at least 55 to 60 here in this part of the Mid-South. Light snow continues. It's just about over with. Then that'll be it for the snowfall. But again, they don't have plows here, and without any kind of warming, we've got to wait for sunshine and the temperatures to come up to clear these roadways. And I'm not only talking about these feeder roads, the secondary roads, I'm also talking about I-20. That's the route between Shreveport and Monroe, and we were up there earlier, and it's just like it is here, snow-packed and snow-covered. Hopefully they can get some of this snow off the roadways. In fact, 49, if you're thinking about driving 49 from Shreveport up towards Texarkana, that is shut down, they're saying, on the DOT website until sometime tomorrow. So there you go. Travel not recommended. And Dr. Postel, as you can you imagine growing up in where you spent a lot of your life in Madison, Wisconsin without a snowplow? Just kind of imagine that.
No chance. No chance.
I know. It's.
Yes, Mike, thank you very much. Yeah,
right.
that is an unfathomable situation. And unfortunately, we're dealing with snow and the
for a couple of hours. It is coming down. It's snowed so hard. I don't know how it is in Monroe, but you can't really tell where the curb is on the street versus where the sidewalk is, just because the snow is so piled up, and that's how it is. We haven't seen a plow come by, and I would say at least 2 hours.
Well, Chris, I can double down on that, because we've been out here since 5 a.m. and we haven't seen our first plow yet. So we've been out here going on 6 hours. No plows, no salt, no sunshine. Temperatures are at 18 degrees. So guess what? Everything you see here is going nowhere. Now there'll be a little sublimation. That's where it goes from a solid to a gas. But that's minuscule. That's trace amounts. So we got snow. You come around these corners, and if you have front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive, that's the worst. You're going to start spitting out. This is the ramp going on to 20, eastbound to the right, and you go over the bridge and west toward Shreveport. Everything is snow-packed, snow-covered, and again, no melting. That's the big difference with this situation here in West Monroe and across this area, typically you get a snowstorm and the next day or even that afternoon the snow melts. That's not the case. Like last month when they had 4 inches. This is sticking around all week. Plus on Wednesday we may get some freezing rain. Even if we get freezing rain or rain, temperatures don't even get up close to 40 until Friday. So this is an amazing shot of cold air. We talked to the mayor earlier here, and she said she's been here 42 years and has never seen anything like this, where you get the snow and the persistent cold, and the snow just doesn't go anywhere. So you can imagine how tough it is to get around. Virtually nothing is open today except the gas stations and, of course, the Waffle House. Let's go back to Dr. Postel. Dr. Postel, you can always count on the Waffle House, but typically you can count on the snow melting usually by the next day at this latitude.
That's right. I mean, the sun oftentimes comes out, perhaps when we had cold air events like this in the past, and melted everything away. But your point is well taken, because it's not going to happen this time around. The sun may come out, but it's going to be way too cold to do any significant melting for a few days yet to come. Mike, that's really good reporting. Thank you very much for that. Let's have